City Hall. How's everyone doing tonight? Good. Well, we're so excited about tonight. We're going to start. I'm going to call the meeting to order here very shortly. We're going to have an invocation given by Commissioner Monica Hunt, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And then I think we have something going on tonight. I don't know. I see some bling in here. We have more bling in here than when Commissioner Dubuck got his Royal Oak necklace when he departed. So this is really nice and really awesome. But we'll save those words for your time. I'm going to call to order the Monday, June 8th, 2026 Royal Oak City Commission meeting to order. We're going to begin with an invocation given by Commissioner Hunt, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask that you stand if you can, please.
As we embark upon the month of June, we are invited into a season of reflection. Not the comfortable kind of reflection that flatters us, but the kind that challenges us to look clearly at who we are, who we have been, and who we still have the courage to become. As we celebrate Juneteenth, we reckon with one of the most sobering facts in American history, that the promise of freedom, declared on July 4th, 1776, did not reach enslaved Black Americans until only after the deadliest war this nation has ever fought against itself, culminating in the Emancipation Proclamation being issued on January 1st, 1863. Even then, it was not until over 2.5 years later, on June 19th, 1865, when those enslaved in Galveston, Texas, were finally freed after learning of the proclamation. 89 years of declared freedom that was never theirs. 89 years of all men are created equal. That meant, in practice, something far less than equal. Juneteenth does not diminish the founding of this country. It simply completes the honest telling of it. As we celebrate Pride, we honor a community that was, within living memory, classified as criminal and excluded from the most basic protections of citizenship. The uprising at Stonewall was not a parade, but an act of survival by people who had been told in law and culture that their existence was something to be ashamed of, hidden, or erased. The joy and visibility of Pride today did not arrive without cost. It was built on courage of those who refused to disappear. This year, the United States celebrates its 250 years since its declared independence. That's a milestone that deserves celebration. The American experiment, imperfect, contested, and unfinished as it is, represents something worth celebrating. But a 250th birthday is also a moment for the kind of honesty that only maturity allows. And we are old enough as a nation to stop telling ourselves a story that leaves people out. The truth is that the arc of American freedom has never moved in one direction. It bends, it stalls, and sometimes it breaks back. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but Jim Crow replaced chains with laws. Women were granted the right to vote in 1920, but reproductive autonomy, recognized as a constitutional right for nearly half a century, was stripped away in 2022. The Supreme Court extended marriage equality to same-sex couples in 2015, and today that decision faces renewed legal and political pressure. Immigrants who came to our country fleeing violence and poverty, echoing the very journey that built our nation, are met with policies that treat their humanity as liability. Communities of color continue to navigate systems of wealth, housing, education, and criminal justice that were not designed to include them as equals. But these are not partisan observations, they are documented facts. What Juneteenth and Pride share, what makes them essential to any honest celebration of America, is that they are both, at their core, about the refusal to accept freedom that exists only on paper. The enslaved people who heard the news in Galveston on June 19th did not simply receive liberty. They had to build it, protect it, and fight to keep it in the next generations that followed. The LGBTQ community did not simply receive dignity. They demanded it in the streets, in the courts, and in the quiet courage of simply living openly when a world told them not to. That is the American tradition as well. Not just declaration of ideals, but the long, difficult, often painful work of making those ideals real for everyone. Not just the powerful, not just the majority, not just those whose identity have always been centered in the national story. We are asked to hold all of these at once. The fireworks and the reckoning, the pride and the unfinished work, the birthday cake and the honest accounting of who has not yet been fully invited to the table. It takes us to celebrate, not just looking away from the hard parts of our history, but by looking directly toward them and asking, what are we willing to do about it? Because freedom is not an anniversary, It is not a monument, a speech, or a flag. Freedom is a practice. It takes active defense. It demands that we pay attention when it is threatened, speak when it is eroded, and act when it is taken from people who are told it was theirs. 250 years in, the question is not whether America declared its ideals well. It did. The question is whether we have the honesty to admit how far we still have to go and the will to close that gap. That is the work that is asked of us. That is the work of every generation must choose to take up or abandon. And the generation alive today is not exempt from making that choice. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll tell you, this commission isn't used to having such a vibrant audience here, excited, wearing gold medals. I mean, this is a really unique thing in the city of Royal Oak. For those of you back here that may be here on other business and you're wondering why do we have so many youthful people here in tonight's forum, both the 2013 girls and the 2013 boys Royal Oak Football Club soccer teams won the State Cup tournament, which is the tournament in the state of Michigan. So you have two sets of state champions from Royal Oak sitting here in our chamber being recognized tonight. Now, I tried to think of the odds of this happening, let alone one team, but two teams from the same club in the same age group winning the tournament. And pretty soon, my math got me close to 1% and below. I don't know, don't question me, don't test my science on it, but this is a very rare thing. And in the 50 years of the Royal Oak Football Club, which has been serving the youth in this community for that time, both in recreational soccer, travel soccer, building character, building teams, developing players. For 50 years, nobody has won a state cup. Until last year, the 2013 girls won the Junior State Cup. So this is their second championship this year. Or not this year, the second championship in their history, which is the odds of that happening are probably less than 1%. So on each of their jerseys, you'll notice tonight it says Royal Oak. And while there are a number of players from Royal Oak on each team, the extension of Royal Oak into our neighbors and part of the Royal Oak family has always been our surrounding communities, and especially those that join our community and visit and those who join programs that are based out of Royal Oak. And so I'd like to think we have an entire Royal Oak family here tonight in ROFC in celebration of what is just an incredible feat by both the girls and the boys 2013 teams. And I have the privilege and honor on behalf of the Royal Oak City Commission and on behalf of the 60,000 people that call this community home to read a couple proclamations tonight that recognize how hard you guys worked, the team spirit that you have, the character that you display on the field, and the example that you set, not just for the younger kids that look up to you, but for everybody in the community. You can be an example for people that are older than you, younger than you, people that play soccer, and people that don't. The character that you guys exhibit on the field definitely translates off the field. And we're so just very proud as a community to say that we have champions in our community, and this is a big deal. So I'm excited to do this. I hope you're excited to receive this. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to do two individual proclamations. The first one is going to be honoring the Royal Oak 2013 Boys Green Team. And so if you guys want to come on up, there's a microphone over there. Let's see if we can fit everybody up here. talking to the city clerk. She's amazing at everything she does, and she does IT apparently, so that's amazing. All right, boys, come on up here. Come on up here. I think I recognize some of you. Coaches, Scott and Todd Lehman. Oh, stand right here. Stand right here. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to move this out here, and we're going to give you guys a little bit more room. Do you have this much trouble with them coaches in practice? No, come right here. Stand right here, guys, right in front of we'll make a little makeshift here. All right. So, these are your 2013 State Cup champions, boys right from Royal Oak Football Club. I think we got most of the team here. Some folks couldn't make it tonight on the boys and girls team because, it's summer, people are on vacation, things of that nature, but we had a pretty good showing here tonight, and it really is an honor, boys, for me to read this proclamation to you guys. So this is a proclamation honoring the 2026 Michigan State Youth Soccer Champion, Royal Oak 2013 Boys Green Team. Whereas the Royal Oak Football Club focuses on player development, sportsmanship, and community engagement to help young athletes grow on and off the soccer field. And whereas the Michigan State Cup is the highest level of statewide competition where teams advance through the tournament bracket, which makes each ensuing round of play more challenging, and a State Cup championship one of the most prestigious accomplishments in youth soccer. And whereas Royal Oak Football Club President John Lintz added, with the widely expanded State Cup field this year, reaching the finals was even more challenging than in years past. And whereas for the 2013 Boys Green Team, Coach Todd Lehman emphasized playing the game the right way, competing while practicing sportsmanship, and giving your best effort in each game, and as Coach Todd Lehman put it, walk off the field with no regrets. And whereas Coach Scott Lehman expressed his pride in the team for not just winning, but winning the right way. Winning a state cup is amazing, but seeing the boys do it in the right way makes it even better. The lessons of teamwork, commitment, and respect extend far beyond the soccer field, and we are proud of the young men they are becoming. And whereas the 2013 Boys Green Team's capture of the 2026 state championship is a historic feat, as they have become the first Royal Oak Football Club boys team to win a state cup championship. And whereas the 2013 Boys Green Team capturing the 2026 State Cup Championship is a historic feat in its own right, as they have become the first Royal Oak Football Club boys team to win a State Cup Championship, with dual state champions of the 2013 Girls Green Team also won a 2026 state championship. Royal Oak Football Club Director Coaching Abdoulaye Jallo said it best. These teams have made history for the Royal Oak Football Club and inspired the next generation of players who dream of wearing our crest. So now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission, on behalf of the entire Royal Oak community, do hereby express our pride and are honored to congratulate the 2026 Michigan State Youth Soccer Champions, Royal Oak 2013 Boys Green Team. Your dedication and commitment to your sport serves as an example of what can be accomplished through teamwork, hard work, and a shared commitment to a common goal. Congratulations. All right, Coach Lehmans, would you like to say anything?
Just real quick, I just want to thank all our great families on our team here in the club. It's an honor to be part of such a great club. I'm also a Royal Oak resident. I've lived in Royal Oak for 30 years. I also work in Royal Oak as a teacher, so it's just a real dream come true to be a part of something so great, to be able to live and work and play and do all these great things in Royal Oak and bring a state championship here to Royal Oak. It just means a lot to me, and thank you.
Thank you to the city of Royal Oak for hosting us and having us and honoring this great group of boys. And, you know, this group really epitomizes together, everyone achieves more. And this year, everyone was just really focused on the team and what was best for the team. And we talked about it all season and what we could accomplish this year. And they worked hard and focused, and we were able to achieve that goal. It's just an amazing job by these boys. So thank you guys for having us, hosting us, and congratulations again, boys.
To have a seat here for just a little bit. What I'm thinking is after we honor the girls for winning 2 championships, get some work to do. I think we could probably do a group picture after. I think that'd be kind of cool. So, can we use that one? Okay. All right. Well, we're having a few mic issues. We'll improvise. Todd and Scott. These are all right. The 2-time champions, back-to-back, 2013 Girls Green World Football Champions. Come on back. I mean, pretty amazing. The odds of this happening is really, really low. But I think you guys showed a commitment to each other, hard work. You made your own luck. And I think with you guys, the odds are pretty much in the favor of winning based on your back-to-back performance. So this is really, really cool. Really exciting. Great point of pride for the city of Royal Oak. So they're a little shy. I'll get up here and read it. So this is a proclamation honoring the 2026 Michigan State Youth Soccer Champion Royal Oak 2013 Girls Green Team. Whereas the Royal Oak Football Club is a community-based soccer club dedicated to providing recreational and premier soccer opportunities for players of all ages and abilities. And whereas the Michigan State Cup is the highest level of statewide competition, where teams advance through a tournament bracket which makes each ensuing round of play more challenging, and a State Cup championship one of the most prestigious accomplishments in youth soccer. And whereas Royal Oak Football Club President John Lintz added, with the widely expanded State Cup field this year, reaching the finals was even more challenging than in years past. And whereas the journey for the 2013 Girls Green Team began in August of 2025, when Coach Dave Jagodinski challenged the group of athletes who had previously become the Royal Oak Football Club's first ever team to win a Junior State Cup, to ignore results of games and focus on technical aspects of soccer, and to achieve deeper understanding of the game and the process. The fall wasn't about results, it was about growth. And whereas by spring of 2026, the 2013 Girls Green Team knew by supporting one another, staying positive and focused, they were ready to accomplish something special for themselves and the future female athletes. And whereas the 2013 Girls Green Team did that something special by becoming the Royal Oak Football Club's first female State Cup champions, achieving their goal, which was the culmination of a season of focused on growth, development, and teamwork. Director of Coaching and Player Development, Abdoulaye Jallo of the 2013 Girls and Boys Green Team stated, "These championships reflect years of dedication from our players, coaches, and families, and prove that a club built on player development, character, and the opportunity can compete with the very best in the state." And whereas the Royal Oak Football Club President John Lintz summarized, "These championships belong to the players, coaches, and families who have invested so much in the program. We are incredibly proud of what these teams have accomplished and grateful for the community that supports them. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission, on behalf of the entire Royal Oak community, do hereby express our pride and are honored to congratulate the 2026 Michigan State Youth Soccer Champions Royal Oak 2013 Girls Green Team. Through your exemplary work ethic and determination, you have not only realized your goal of becoming state champions, but you have forged a path for female soccer players to follow. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, City of Royal Oak, for having us out tonight. This has been a really special event. This is a great group of girls. I have really enjoyed my time with them this year. We set a goal right at the beginning of the year of how we wanted the year to go. The girls worked hard, they never wavered. It's just been a ton of fun. Great group of parents, thank you so much for everything. I always end all my weekly emails for thank you for your support, because really without your support, none of this could happen. I mean, there's so many times we have to drive here and drive there, and we're rushing, and you guys make it all possible. So thank you very much. I also, as Todd said, work in the city. I've been coaching here for 11 years. I actually grew up playing for Roysa. So being a part of this is kind of really special for me. My dad was my coach growing up. I was able to coach all 3 of my daughters in this club. And so a real special place in my heart with this club. So thank you very much for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Up?
No.
Anything? No? Well, how about this one time? All right, let's do it. Boys, come on up. Pictures, want to come down and get a picture? Find out.
I don't got the trophy. No, wait.
Why don't you guys
Hey, have me and Addie mom probably. Get down, get down. Okay, nobody else is down.
How close you are.
Oh, I'm so tired.
Oh, the mayor's coming.
Oh, man.
Did you see how he snuck in here real quick?
I'm so tired. Can you stop pushing my guys? We're not.
Oh, sounds like my kids.
I'm gonna break this. You guys stop. Stop pinching me.
Say champions.
Champions.
That's enthusiastic.
All right. Yeah, hold up your number 1 finger. We'll all go do number 1. Yeah.
No. Me?
The one next to your thumb. All right, one more time. I just want to recognize one more thing about, I'm sure the club, would also state this. So these teams, they work incredibly hard as individual units on the field. And with changes coming down from the Michigan, or I think it's National Soccer Association, they are changing the dates of birth when teams can be. So both of these teams, sadly, will be broken up in some capacity, which makes this moment tonight even more special, because this might be some of the last times these teams are together as a team. Winning back-to-back championships, winning the first Girls State Cup Championship, winning the first Boys State Cup Championship, coming from a community-based nonprofit club in the city of Royal Oak and a 50-year anniversary. I mean, we're talking 0.0001%. And it's because we have fantastic players, fantastic coaches that I can tell you firsthand put all of their effort developing players the right way on sportsmanship and character, reinforced by all of their parents in this room tonight. And it's just so special to have you guys here. And like I said, you're setting an example for so many people in this community, and it matters. And congratulations one more time. You guys want to do the ROFC circle and maybe go boys and girls? All right. Well, I know we came here to celebrate. I know why you guys came here, because you really wanted to learn about right-of-way approvals and parking lot contracts and things of that nature. So I suspect you guys want to stick around for the rest of the meeting? No? Seriously, from the bottom of our heart, we're so grateful for you guys coming out tonight, for making time on a Monday night to celebrate an amazing championships. And you know, this room is often filled with a lot of tough decisions and difficult issues. And to have you guys out here tonight showing off your medals and showing your team spirit matters to a lot of folks here, because, you know, we should celebrate the wins in life. We should celebrate the things that are joyful. We should take a break from solving all the hard problems. So thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. We look forward to all the great work you guys are going to do as a club, as teams, and as individuals. And if you want to take a moment to walk out and take pictures outside and all of that, you're welcome to stay here for the rest of the meeting. I won't stop you. But not a lot of exciting stuff on tonight's agenda.
Parental leave.
Oh, we're going to talk about parental leave as well. So that's not a subliminal message for the parents to leave. Just all right. Well, good. So, the next item on the agenda is item number 5, the approval of the agenda. Commissioner Bastian.
I would like to motion approval of the agenda with the addition of one agenda item at the end, if you please. I would like to add a brief discussion of the Vincetta bridges and their rehabilitation.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bastian. Is there a second on his motion? Second by Commissioner Hunt. Any discussion on the agenda as it's been presented? Commissioner Colo.
Yeah, Commissioner Bastian, I actually have not seen any agenda item or documentation to us about the Vincetta bridges, so unless we have staff prepared for this tonight, or we have more information on it, I'd be voting no on this, and we could add it to the next agenda.
Any other comments? Commissioner Hunt?
Well, I guess I'd like to hear from Commissioner Bastian. Is it just a discussion, or is it informational?
A very brief discussion that would be informational.
I'm good with that. Anybody else? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. We've established an agenda. All right, up next is public comment. Just a few statements before we commence. The City Commission values and relies on the input of our fellow citizens to help make decisions. Now is the time set aside for the public to address the City Commission on any city-related issue, whether or not it's on the agenda. I ask that comments be directed to the Commission as a whole and not to individual commissioners. The city has made it easier for you to request a follow-up on any issue that you leave at public comment by simply scanning the QR code you see displayed. Please make sure to double-check your information for accuracy, as staff will utilize it to get a response back to you. In addition to public comment, there will be 5 public hearings this evening. The first will be the consideration for the approval of the brownfield plan for the development at 505 South Lafayette Avenue. The other 4 public hearings of assessment to provide the opportunity to all interested persons to comment on the special assessment paving for parking at the listed parking areas adjacent to 4300 to 4324 Rochester Road, 4518 Rochester Road, 4610 to 4612 Rochester Road, and 4724 to 4732 Rochester Road. If you wish to speak tonight at public comment or any of the public hearings, please wait until recognized by me, the mayor, then come up to the podium. For the record, we'll ask that you state your name and address. Please be mindful the City Commission wishes to hear from anyone who wants to speak tonight, so comments are limited to 3 minutes per person and not per topic. With the exception of our public hearings, where you may rise to speak once those public hearings are open. So if you want to speak 6 times tonight, you have the opportunity to speak 6 times tonight. So please note the City Commission will not respond directly to questions during public comment. However, we are taking notes, and we will address those questions when the topic comes up. If your questions are unrelated to anything on tonight's agenda, our city manager is taking notes as well. And if you do leave your contact information with us, we will get back to you. And we have the remarkable Judy Davids, our community engagement specialist, in the back corner tonight. And if you feel uncomfortable with the QR code, just leave your name and address, and she will make sure we get a response to you. There's no bad questions. So with that, who's first tonight? Mr. Witz.
Good evening, John Witz, office at 301 West 4th Street in Royal Oak. And this is a moving meeting on a couple fronts. One is a former soccer player and soccer parent, had the chance to play at Brandeis University and took kids up through the program. And I'm so familiar about the kind of club that the Royal Oak Football Club is, you know, what they stand for. You know, we had that in Troy. We had players poached. It was hard to hold it together, hard to keep a team together, and certainly next to impossible to win a state cup. And it was so moving to see this ceremony tonight. And we want to continue the recognition for the boys and the girls clubs. And we're going to invite them to be on our national stage in front of 5,000 people on opening night and be recognized and play a video of your championship run and some photos. So if you guys would like to be there on opening night and be recognized on stage, coaches, how does that sound? All right. And that comes up, that is an invite for the folks in the room and families and the champions. But we have another festival coming up, Royal Oak Taco Fest, on July 4th weekend. And on opening night, we are inviting families of all teams, not just the champions, to have free admission. All families, all siblings, all parents. So if you guys like to come out and have a good time at Royal Oak Taco Fest, how does that sound? You are our guests. Congratulations. That's part A of the moving night. Part B of the moving night is listening to Commissioner Hunt's invocation. It is moving, it is poignant, it is relevant, and just grateful that she is on the commission and representing us. And I will also say, to tie it in, we are proud, as someone who might have been embarrassed to book Vanilla Ice last year, that we are proud that our America's 250th celebration will star the Royal Oak Historical Society and bringing history back and talking about what it took to get here today. And I think those remarks need to be recognized, and Juneteenth needs to be recognized. It's celebrated well in the city, and we're going to do our best as well with America's 250th. And so I wanted to make those comments, and I will get with the coaches on the club. And again, thank you, Commissioner Hunt, and that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Togweiler. Oh, you guys can, if you have to leave, yeah, feel free. Do you guys want to take a break and the soccer nets are still up at Grant Park, by the way. We got a little bit of sunlight. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. I promise it's not you, Tom. Todd, thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for all your hard work. You guys are amazing job. All right, we'll see you guys Friday, maybe.
Is there anybody left?
Tom, I promise it's not because history isn't their most favorite subject in school. That is some pretty heavy hardware. Look at that trophy.
Right?
My goodness, I wasn't expecting that.
The girls one looks a lot bigger than the boys.
All right, Mr. Togweiler.
Thank you. My name is Tom Togweiler, 1018 Longfellow, Royal Oak. I'm here representing the Royal Oak Historical Society. Again, seems I've been up here a few times recently. Earlier this year, the Royal Oak Historical Society formally signed a proclamation with the group America 250 to support the Michigan and the nation's celebration of our 250th founding. That being said, we took a charge, and that charge was to let others know about the celebrations and to reach out in the community to help celebrate our nation's 250th. So about 3 months ago, we reached out to the organization running the Taco Fest. We sat with John Witz, and he immediately embraced our vision. And seeing as the Taco Fest was being held over the 4th of July weekend, we agreed to do something to help this endeavor of celebrating this special event. So on July 4th and July 5th, with John's coordination and with our committee in our organization led by Judy Davids and Marcy Dwyer, we have been given the space and the time at Taco Fest on July 4th and July 5th to have a four-stage or a four-part event on the stage. The first part is going to be George Washington and Martha Washington, portrayed by local actors, and they will be reading actual letters that were read between George and Martha. Second is going to be Betsy Ross, portrayed by Charlene Douglas. Char is going to be talking about how the flag was actually made, and then the kids will be invited to come up and actually make some flags. And it looks like I'm going to run over. I'm going to just try to get through this real quick. Third actor is going to be Ben Franklin, who's going to be talking about what life was like in colonial times during his time as an inventor, a scientist, and our first postmaster general. The fourth is going to be a reading of invited people in the audience to come up and read the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. And from what I hear, there could be a Paul Revere sighting portraying the actual ride to warn us of the British are coming, or so something like that. So real quick, I'll end with, I want to thank John Witz for embracing us as an organization. And I want to thank John and his group for making a very sizable and memorable, meaningful donation to our organization and to cover the costs of the actors and the materials needed to put this event on. So thanks all, and come and see us on those days. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Togweiler. All right, who's next? Mr. McGee.
Evening. My name is Patrick McGee, 4524 Elmhurst Avenue. Here to talk about one issue only. So on November 4th of 2025, the swing sets at Elks Park were removed by DPS. Removed. Today is June 8th. We have no swing sets still. Can we prioritize DPS to install those swing sets? I've reached out to a few people. They've committed to doing it months ago, weeks ago. No progress. So if we could, swing sets, Elks Park. My daughter's 4 years old, loves the swing, has no swings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Ms. Wagman.
Oh, well. Good evening, and welcome to our new city manager. As someone who has spent years attending meetings and reviewing agendas, I would like to briefly highlight several opportunities to improve transparency and public access in Royal Oak. First, regular city commission meeting materials are generally not available until noon or later on the Friday before Monday's meeting. Earlier publication, whenever possible, would provide residents more time to review information and participate in an informed manner. Second, ARPA transparency. Instead of receive and file like we have on tonight's agenda, residents should be given regular updates on the $28.1 million in ARPA funds we received 4 years ago. What has been accomplished, what remains, and how spending decisions aligned with the priorities of residents identified during the extensive input sessions. Third, millage transparency. I understand that Headley and Proposal A have significantly affected municipal finances and limited revenue growth. However, describing proposals strictly as renewals without clearly explaining the impact of taxable value increases can leave residents with the impression that taxes will remain unchanged when in fact, homeowners will ultimately pay more. Remember, many of your constituents are also experiencing limited revenue growth along with increasing costs. With 7 millage proposals appearing on ballots this year, residents deserve factual, straightforward explanations of what these proposals will cost, why they are being requested, and how they will affect the average taxpayer. Fourth, neighborhood awareness. At the last meeting, residents of Cherry Avenue came before you and the Planning Commission to state their displeasure not only with the decision to allow an ice cream shop at the end of their street, but that they weren't notified. 2 years ago, I had this sign made, which is a copy of what Berkeley does, and brought it before you, the Planning Commission, and zoning, and asked that Royal Oak do the same thing. Put signs up on properties that are coming before your boards and commissions, notifying the residents that there could be changes in their streets or the community. It's not something that's unique to Berkeley. It's in Birmingham, and I think we should implement this. We've demonstrated when the city believes an issue is important, such as a zoning moratorium on tattoo salons, if there's support for improving that, we can bypass the zoning ordinance rewrite process and implement them independently and expeditiously. Finally, the common theme is simple. Residents should have timely, factual, and transparent access to information and meaningful opportunities to participate before decisions are made. I hope these are improvements your administration will consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Anybody else tonight to speak in public comment? Going once? Going twice? All right, we're going to close public comment and bring the meeting back to this side of the table. All right, the next order of business tonight is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull anything off tonight's consent agenda? Commissioner Herzog.
Thank you. I would like to pull L, approval of parental leave policy.
All right, L. Anybody else? Does anyone wish to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Cheatham? With the exception of L.
With the exception of L.
Second by Commissioner Gantina. Sorry, I meant to say it, but I'm running slow today. I had a misfire in my brain. All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right, item L, parental leave. Commissioner Herzog.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Public Safety for making us aware of this policy gap. And also, I want to thank the staff who worked on this policy for over a year. Good policy takes time and patience, and I'm grateful to everyone who has had a hand in getting us to this point. Most of you know I'm an environmental engineer and have spent my entire career doing impactful projects that benefit our environment and health. And I have been especially proud of the work I did as chair of the Environmental Advisory Board, especially in creating the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan. So much so that it was one of the main reasons I ran to be on the City Commission. I wanted the plan to be implemented, policy into action. And I often carry the plan around with me, bring it to reference it, and to bring it up in any discussion whenever I can. And so tonight, I am equally proud of this parental leave policy and the thoughtfulness that went into creating it. As a new parent, you go through an array of emotions. I am a working mother of 2, and I remember a decade ago feeling joy and a love that I could not put into words. But I was also feeling overwhelmed, worried, desperate, frustrated, betrayed, had a little bit of a sense of unfairness, and I was isolated. As a society, we talk a lot about family values and how cute these babies are, and they are just very cute. But we aren't digging deep about the real lack of support for families. And this is such a small blip of time when you view a person's full career. For this parental leave policy, the maximum paid leave entitlement under this policy is 8 work weeks for eligible employees without a distinction between medical recovery leave, bonding leave, or adoption leave. So for our employees, this policy provides a time to heal, bond with a new child, support partners, and adjust to a major life transition. It offers flexibility and recognizes that every family is different without making assumptions about what is best for any individual family situation. For our city, this policy strengthens our ability to recruit and retain exceptional talent, demonstrates our commitment to our values, and positions us as leaders in advancing family-friendly workplace policies, not only in Royal Oak, but across Michigan. And for our community and visitors, by providing employees with time and support they need to recover, bond, and adjust, we help ensure our workforce, including public safety personnel, is physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared to serve our residents and visitors at the highest level. It should be noted that no policy is perfect. I would love to give more time, but this is what we can do with the capacity and resources that we have. It is a significant improvement from FMLA or using all your PTO, and I will urge our state and federal partners to champion policies that support families and improve the lives of working people so that we can do more in the future. I am proud of this work we did together. We put our values into action. I know younger Amanda would be proud of all of us as well. And I will probably be carrying this policy around with me from now on. So I am happy and thrilled to make the motion to approve the parental leave policy.
We have a motion by Commissioner Herzog. Is there a second? A second by Commissioner Cheatham. Discussion. Commissioner Cheatham.
I just want to thank staff for the work that they put into this. I know that it did take a lot of time and effort. I would also like to thank Commissioner Herzog. I feel like she was a really strong champion throughout this process. And it was inspiring to see as an elected official, another elected official, really just take her experience, her values, her passion, and help shape it. And again, with collaboration from our great partners who are staff for the city. So I too am a mom and have a child, and remember those days. I had a February baby, and a winter baby is a very isolating experience. You can't just go to the park and meet other parents. You plow a jogging stroller through snowbanks to try to get out. So I think that having this policy helps bring support to our staff when they are becoming parents. And I agree, I think this is important for recruitment and retention of really good people. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work that you also put into this. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? I'll just add a big thank you to Commissioner Herzog and Cheatham. They really took the lead on this and underscores the importance of having a diverse board where you have different experiences and different passions. And Commissioner, how do we say that now? Commissioner Dr. Herzog, Commissioner Dr. Cheatham, you have a PhD in public health at...
Wait. We're a paradox.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
How long have you been waiting for that
A
one?
long time.
When I thought I couldn't respect you anymore, you pull this, and my head is blown. All right, that was awesome. Awesome. And really thank you for your efforts, and thanks staff. This isn't an easy task. There's a lot of mathematical computations. There's, the upside for our employees. There's lots of upsides, but there's also, some challenges ahead to make sure that we figure out schedules and all of that. So, but everybody's on board. Everybody understands the value of parental leave. And just, for me to share my story as a father, a different perspective, I have 3 little Royal Oakers, one half East Lansinger. But I remember back in the day when they were born, taking telephone calls and opening up my laptop, hours after they were born because work called and needed support. And that when, especially with our first, coming home and seeing, as new parents, my wife going through, a pretty physically traumatic experience, having a new child, and, a few days later, I got to go back to work. And I'm not faulting my employer in any way whatsoever, but it would be easy for a lot of us to say, well, I didn't have 8 weeks, I didn't, and I made it. I don't think that's what we should be doing. We should be working to make things better for future generations. That's what our job is. And if, we continue to do that, I think we're doing our job. And I think this is something that I wish I had. I think my wife wished we had. And I think our employees are going to be very grateful for it. And when we talk about recruitment, I think, on a technical basis, like, oh, this is a benefit. But I think what it really shows is how much we value every single person that works in this city, from the city manager, city attorney, city manager's office, the whole PD, and the entire fire department, even Jim Cook. Just had to tease him. I owed him a tease. But so I think that this is a really good thing. And it wasn't easy to figure it out because these things aren't easy, but with the right sort of passion and leadership, and a lot of us deferring to that passion and leadership to make sure the right proposals were made, I think we're very grateful, and the community is going to be very grateful and better off because of it. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Grochowski, for all your work. I don't know how you do it sometimes. Thank you. You got to manage 7 different ideas and personalities, and you still smile. All right. So, notwithstanding anything anybody else has to say, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, can we have discussion on the previous item too that we didn't have really fast on the consent agenda?
Oh.
I just want to highlight 2 things that were on the consent agenda.
Yes, Commissioner Cole, I apologize if I missed that step.
Yes. Can I just highlight that the Upton Park approval was just, we just approved it for $750,000 for a nice revamp of that park, which is awesome. Mayor Pro Tem Hunt and I was looking at the right Mayor Pro Tem. Dr. Mayor Pro Tem Herzog and I recently hosted some kids here from Adams Elementary. We talk about the park improvements that we make every year. It's just really invigorating to see the kids. And I'll say, like, the kids every year talk about inclusivity and making sure that everyone can use the parks. And every year when we make these improvements, we continue to make sure that our parks can be used by a wide range of peoples and different abilities all over. So it's really awesome to see. I will say also that they keep on asking for sandboxes. That was one of the biggest things that was requested this year. Mr. Murphy, I know, has left, but that might be something we want to look at, adding these sandboxes to the designs. And then second thing is the piano project's back. I see Deputy City Manager Parkman here, and I know the Commission for the Arts worked on the piano project. It took a break last year, and this year the volunteers were back. That's a labor of love and a lot of labor that goes into that. So I just want to thank all the volunteers from the Commission for the Arts and the different community resources that came together, the different businesses that will host the pianos and listen to the pianos now all summer. But it's just a great benefit to the community. It just adds to the vibrancy of Royal Oak.
Wonderful comments. Thank you, Commissioner Colo. And forgive me for moving a little quick.
I get it, right?
Just want to get to that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the public hearing on a brownfield plan for 505 South Lafayette Avenue. Mr. Hedges.
Yes, good evening. Before you this evening is a brownfield plan for 505 South Lafayette Avenue, proposed for a 10-story building with 54 multiple family dwellings. The developer is seeking reimbursement for eligible activities under the Brownfield Act of slightly over $10 million over a 30-year period. The biggest item of their eligible activities is an affordable housing financing gap of slightly over $7.8 million that would be required as part of the 16 dwellings that they would be reserving for households or individuals with an income of no more than 120% of the area median income. The amount they arrived at was based on a formula provided by MISTA and calculated by the developer. If the plan is adopted tonight by the City Commission, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will still need to review the required reimbursement agreement, and that agreement would contain language regarding monitoring and reporting provisions to ensure that the affordability requirements of the proposed brownfield plan are met. Those provisions would be similar to the ones that were required for the Lincoln Place brownfield plan approved last year. A public hearing is scheduled for the plan tonight's meeting. Notices were sent to the other taxing jurisdictions as required under Act 31. The developers are here this evening, and I will leave the more specifics of the plan to them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Hedges. Any questions for Mr. Hedges at this point? Okay, would the petitioner like to make a presentation before we open up the public hearing?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, and I'd like to extend a welcome to Mr. Marcus as our City Manager. I am here tonight representing a Curry group of Royal Oak, and with me is Mr. Curry, who is the principal of that group, and also Elizabeth Masserang of SME, who is our Brownfield housing consultant. Just a couple highlights. First, we have followed the long and winding road to get here tonight. It's been almost 2 years since we first started. We've been to the ZBA, the DDA, the Planning Commission, the BRA, everything but the Cemetery Board. I'm just kidding. But we have at each level had a vote by citizens you appoint who come from all different walks of life, and they have all supported this. Each one of those bodies has supported this project, and we're very pleased to have gone through the gauntlet, so to speak, of all these boards and come out with a positive result each time. Just some very high-level highlights. Of the 54 units, 30% will be workforce housing, which is consistent with the master plan that you have passed for middle, it's kind of that middle market, middle housing that's very important to the city's future growth. Also, the commitment of the Curry Group is to have 30 years of reduced rent, not 20 years as some other plans have suggested, but 30 years, or the life of the Brownfield plan, which most likely will be 29 to 30 years. Also, when we went before the DDA, they had an analysis that showed that these 54 units would generate about $1 million in spend, not rent, but in spend in downtown businesses and in businesses nearby. So there's an economic benefit to the project. Another important thing to note is that the DDA has already agreed to forego their taxes. If approved by MISTA, when we go there, while there is a capture of school taxes, MISTA will make whole the school district of Royal Oak. What that means is there's literally a 40% state subsidy that we receive. Now, we all pay those taxes, so it's our money coming back to us, but that's a good thing. So at the end of the day, the city tonight, the commission, your authority or responsibility is for about 1.7 million of the request. And finally, another peripheral benefit of this project will be that the Akuri Group will take on the relocation of the DTE power lines on Fifth Avenue to the tune of about $1.1 million. It will not only bury underground those lines adjacent to the project, but it will also clean up the spaghetti system. If you've ever been in that alley, it looks like something out of a movie with all these wires all over the place, and that will be cleaned up. So we're very pleased, but that check will be written up front by the Akuri Group to DTE. What that does, and one of the reasons we had the unanimous support of the DDA, is that will take that issue off the table for the DDA and the city. We are asking for reimbursement for that cost because it is a highly unusual cost, but it is a permitted eligible cost as an infrastructure matter. So we believe that that is going to help with respect to the Fifth Avenue renovation when you come to the west side and take that cost off the table, which would have been rather significant. So those are our highlights. We stand ready at the appropriate time to answer any of your questions, and we thank you for your thoughtful consideration of this brownfield plan tonight. Thank you.
Questions for the petitioner? Just had a couple clarifying questions.
Sure.
You said the DDA calculated with this development that there would be $1 million of spend in neighboring businesses, I imagine in Royal Oak.
Right.
Is that per year, lifetime?
No, that's per year.
Per year. Okay,
Yeah,
so that'd be like
it's about 20,000 per unit between, groceries, entertainment, transportation, things of that nature.
Okay, so that'd be like over the 30-year period, like $30 million, because I imagine that amount grows with inflation.
Probably somewhere between 35 and 40 over the life of over the first 30 years of the existence of the project.
Okay. And then the city's portion of 1.7 million, that's over the 30 years?
Right.
And did you do any calculations on the net present value of that? Is that the net present value, or is it?
5%,
840. At a 5% rate, it's 840.
$840,000?
Right.
Okay, that's helpful.
Right.
Sorry. Like I said, we all bring something different to the table.
MBA coming out.
Hey, they cash my tuition checks. I got to make use of it,
Talk more about discount rates though.
Okay. I think those were the only two questions that I had. I'm familiar with the project being on planning. I just wanted to verify those meanings of those numbers, so thank you. Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to verify too, the 1.7 million, that is the city portion of the total local capture, right? The remaining portion goes to the county, DDA, et cetera?
Right, well, they've got the 1.7 is the city portion. I think it's 4.1 was what the DDA, they passed a resolution to forego, and then the remainder is the school taxes. But yeah, the DDA and the city both include various taxing jurisdictions. That's why they were all given notice tonight.
I just want to make sure, because it does say somewhere like the local, I think it's a total 5.7 is what the local is on the spreadsheet, but that includes all those other entities, right? So the city portion is just 1.7 that would have gone to us, okay.
That's correct,
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing and see if we have anybody, and then if there's more questions to be had. All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing. The same rules apply as normal public comment. Anybody wish to speak on this topic and this topic only? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Hello, I'm Wyatt Castle, 831 Wyandotte Avenue. I'm in favor of the plan to use the plan to reimburse the city for the city reimburse for this purpose. I think the environmental action is very necessary and constant overwatch is needed. I think that this is something we should support, and going forward, if there is any further planning done, environmental issues found, is there any mechanisms for the city to find any sources of environmental damage, dumping, illegal misuse of materials, anything like that, and ways to take the next step to mitigate not just current issues that we find, but stem the flow. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All righty, I'll close the public hearing, bring the discussion back to this side of the table. In response to the question, what I heard, I understood is that the question is really rooted in, okay, there's a environmental remediation plan. In the event that there's more environmental, I think there's several part questions there, that there's more environmental remediation, I believe that cost is on the developer to take care of. The second part of it is, maybe we can answer from the city side, is that a project this big, we're inspecting it every single day. Well, not every single day, but we're out there quite often, and if we do catch or see something, which we have on occasion, I think most folks are pretty good, and we sometimes have missteps or a rogue contractor. It's brought to the attention of our building department and our planning department if there's covenants that say they can do certain things, and it stops the project right away, and the developer has to remediate it. So we have a policing of it, so to speak. And then for all the receipts and everything, you guys are going to send them to us, and we have to go over and audit and validate that they actually did the work they said they were going to do and validate. And if it's less, then the reimbursement is less. And so the 1.7 million goes down, which is great. If it's more, that's capitalism. They got to cover it. So I'll ask the petitioner, is that your understanding of the, I see a lot of nods.
She's the expert.
Good evening. I just, to clarify on the environmental, a phase 1 environmental site assessment was completed for the site as part of pre-purchase due diligence. No recognized environmental conditions, i.e. high-risk previous uses were identified. That said, you can always run into something unknown in the ground during construction. If that's the case, as part of the MSHDA process, which if approved tonight, we'd advance into, we would be required to sign off on an affidavit that says if that was found, it would still be cleaned up to residential standards as part of the project. So,
Commissioner Cheatham?
I'm not sure if this is the place to ask this, but my understanding, so I'm wondering if there's a little bit of confusion, because my understanding is that there's been this opportunity for developers because of environmental pollution and opportunity to use these basically a tax relief to help fund remediation. But this same opportunity was expanded recently under state law for not environmental reasons, but to increase the housing supply. And so I think this particular project is more focused on that
Correct.
purpose than the environmental, not necessarily, environmental cleanup.
Correct.
Right, okay, thanks.
Yeah, but in the event they dig the hole and something's there that they didn't think, there's a plan to deal with it, and they have to deal with it. But you're right, this brownfield, the state law allowed for the brownfield to now be used to not tackle just environmental issues, but to tackle the housing crisis, absolutely. And this one is primarily that, you're correct. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. Well, oh shoot, clicked too fast. I'll just add, Commissioner Gontina and I have seen this probably at least double what the rest of the commission has seen, and we've had a lot of discussions. And my personal perspective on projects like this is we decided as a commission we wanted to tackle the issue of affordability. We recognize that affordability comes in many shapes and sizes and forms and has many different layers of benefits. In this particular case, right in our downtown, self-selecting people will choose to live in this building. They'll be able to pay a reduced rate for their home, and in exchange, these folks will work and live and spend money in our downtown, and that's a really good thing. If you talk to a number of businesses in our downtown, it's sometimes hard to secure servers and other staff for retailers, et cetera. And a big reason of that is because affordability in Royal Oak has been a challenge. And as our neighborhoods become more and more expensive, it becomes harder for people to call Royal Oak home. And then you have a commute issue and all of that, and it becomes a harder place to work. So, and I've said a million times over, you know, when you do everything right, amazing public safety, great city organization, staff initiatives, beautiful parks, all of that, people are going to want to live in your city, and that creates a lot of demand. And with that demand, there's a small price to pay, and that is increased and accelerated home values. And while that might be good for a lot of people that own a home and they get, that's part of their, you know, retirement or wealth strategy, for I look at it like my kids, when they decide if they want to be a letter carrier, a police officer, a teacher, whatever they want to be, if they can't come back home and start a life in the community they were raised in, then shame on all of us. And so we're not going to be able to solve all the world's problems, but one project at a time, we can make a difference. And when I look at this, you know, shifting over from the emotional side to the number side, I think what I heard tonight, and from our DDA even acknowledged it, so this is not the petitioner's number, if it's $1 million a year, that amount is not, I mean, if you discount it, you really can't, because that amount, it might be $35,000 this year, but next year, as wages grow, you know, so if you just looked at that, multiplied it in today's dollars, it's probably $35 to $40 million, $30 to $40 million of economic activity in our city, and then followed by an $800,000, you know, tax deferment that actually doesn't exist today. So for me, I really like the math on this one. I really like the problems it's solving, and I'll certainly be supporting it, but I'll open it up to you guys to see what you think. Commissioner Gantina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, when this first came to the Planning Commission, I was actually pretty concerned about the size of the ask. I thought it was, it's one of the biggest brownfield asks that I think has come through the Planning Commission, at least in my tenure. But I appreciate the explanation in terms of these are always very complex. And after gaining some clarity in terms of how that ask is broken up through the different entities, and we've kind of talked about it tonight, where the net effect to the city is we're really talking about a $1.7 million effect to the city. And as we all do in our personal lives, we have to do it up here. If we think about that as an investment and what sort of return we're getting on that investment, that's really where my mind shifted as I saw this before. When we look at this particular project, we're getting a site in our downtown area that's redeveloped with 54 housing units, which is clearly a value for us. The developer's committed to workforce housing units within that building, which is obviously a value to us, and then also infrastructure improvements. All those things, I think, are definitely a benefit to us from the standpoint of the $1.7 million that we're, you know, essentially being asked to invest in this project through this. So I'm definitely going to be in support of this, but I agree with everything that you said. I think the math on this particular one works in the sense that this project and what it's offering and the benefits of it certainly outweigh the ask and the investment that's being asked of us.
Anybody else? Commissioner Colo.
I move approval.
We have a motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Herzog. Discussion. Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't repeat what you and Commissioner Gartina said. I mean, this project has been vetted for multiple years now. It's going to bring people downtown. It's just good for the downtown. What strikes me is that this is a $10 million ask, and that the school's portion of it is $4.3 million that they get to keep, that the state will make whole. So, you know, 10 million sounds like as Commissioner Gartina said, this is a large ask, but when you start with that 10.3 or 10 million and it's 4.3 that the schools get to keep. So that's not a loss. And the county and DDA comprise the last four, it's 1.7 on the city. Per unit per month, over 30 years, that's $295 a month per unit to get attainable housing in the core of our downtown. That is a steal. If we could do that all day, any day, that's something we should fund anytime. So, sorry, get Chief Cook. At less than $300 a unit, this seems like a huge win for the downtown and all of Royal Oak.
Great point, Commissioner Colo. Anybody else? Mr. Grochowski? No, just kidding. I agree with Commissioner Gantina and Commissioner Colo, and I would just, you okay? I do that, I mean, timing, one little swallow down the wrong pipe, and if you're at home, it wouldn't be an issue, but because you're here, it's Creighton Coffee.
You know, Josh did such a good job.
And you know, the one thing I would add is, in Commissioner Colo's math, it's probably a little less than that. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that the state set up this fund and this weird mechanism to be made whole. And for anybody that, you know, understands this process, you know, this 1.7 million or 800,000 net present value, the city doesn't have that money today. It doesn't plan on having the money. That money is only generated from the perceived value of this project, of what its future taxable value will be worth. So you have to think of this as anybody that says, oh, you're giving the developer money. No, it's money that doesn't exist today until the project is built. Then the value of the project drives the money, but the project wouldn't be built without the assistance of that relief. And you can validate that because in their plan, which is on our city website and presented in the materials here today, you can see all the math. And the bottom line here is that banks aren't going to lend money to projects that are risky. And so construction costs are very expensive for new construction. Older buildings don't lend themselves for redevelopment for this type of housing. So, you know, I think this is a great solution. I'm happy and I applaud those at the state that are permitting this to happen. And we're taking advantage of these opportunities. And Royal Oak is a visionary leader when it comes to affordable housing. So this is going to be a win for everybody if it passes. All right, anybody else? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, thank you guys.
We'd like to not only thank you, but I forgot to mention, in addition to all the boards we've worked with, the staff people we've worked with, Mr. Hedges, Mr. Murphy, Meg Truba, they've all really represented, I think, the city very well, but also helped guide us through, like I said, the gauntlet of every board that we could go to possibly of the city. So we want to thank everyone. Thank you very much. Okay.
Good people get good results.
That's right. Thank you. And the DDA director.
All right, this brings us to item 9, which is a public hearing of assessment for special assessment paving of, Mr. Arcuri.
I normally let my attorney speak on my behalf, but I wanted to also extend to you my sentiments in my same words, thanking you all for the patience that you've had to endure through this entire process. It does mean a lot. And this project has been nothing but a blessing from the beginning it started, and we look forward to continuing it with you and working with all of you. So thank you from me. And I just had to follow up, Dennis, so forgive me for interrupting, Mr. Mayor.
Good luck. We appreciate you making such a sizable investment in our community. Thank you, Mr. Arcuri. All right, this is a public hearing of assessment for special assessment paving of parking area at 4300 to 4324 Rochester Road. The one, the only, best city engineer, Donahue. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. And good evening to everybody. The next, actually 4 items on our agenda, we have 4 public hearings coming up here, and this is our final step on these parking areas of Rochester Road. So that's very exciting. So again, these are public hearings for anyone that wishes to speak on the special assessment rule for each district. The city clerk did send notice to all the property owners that are within each district, and also posted the information in the newspaper as required. After each public hearing is closed, there's no action needed from the commission tonight. The only reason to make a resolution would be if for some reason you wanted to stop any of these from being built. The costs provided for each district are actually based on the as-bid pricing from the contractor. Normally, we just bring you an estimate before the project is even bid. So these are really solid costs, and unless there's any major change during construction, very dependable numbers. So I think what I'll do is a brief introduction for each hearing, and then I'll turn it over to you. So our first one here is for the parking area adjacent to 4300 to 4324 Rochester Road. This is a location with several businesses, including Green Lantern, a barber shop, karate area, and a few others. The total district assessment here is just under $99,000, and that will be evenly split among the 3 individual parcels. And so I'll turn it over to you, Mayor Fournier, for the first public hearing.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Donahue before we begin on this one? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Same rules apply. Anyone here wish to speak at tonight's public hearing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and bring the meeting back to this side of the table. No motion? Had a public hearing? Any other questions? Okay. I think we're good.
Move on to the next agenda item?
Yeah.
Okay. Our next one is a public hearing for 4518 Rochester Road. This is in front of an Amber Apartments building. Total assessment here is just over $48,000, and this is just a single parcel within this district.
Questions? I'll open up the public hearing. Same rules apply. Anyone wish to speak at this public hearing? All right, with none, I'll close the public hearing. Bring the meeting back up here. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. We go on to the next one.
Moving on to item 11. This is our third public hearing for 4610 to 4612 Rochester Road. This is actually a duplex residence, so actually just really one parcel here, requesting a pull-off parking area. Total assessment here is $8,700, and this again would apply to just the one single parcel.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Open up the public hearing. Same rules apply. Anyone wish to speak tonight on this one? Okay, not seeing anybody. We'll close public hearing, bring the meeting back up here. Any further discussions or questions? Okay, we can move on to the next one.
Thank you. Moving on, our last one here for item 12. This is the public hearing for 4724 to 4732 Rochester Road. This has several businesses, including Royal Inn Bar, Salon Nero, and Bravo Intimates, just south of 14 Mile Road. Total district assessment here is a touch over $55,000 to be evenly split among the 3 individual parcels.
Okay. Questions? Commissioner Colo.
Wait, all those businesses were still there after that apartment complex was built?
Pure so.
Huh. Odd. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
I'm surprised. I heard they were shutting, that's all, I'm sorry.
They probably have more customers next door now, so it might actually be the opposite. But.
That would make sense.
All right.
Good for the community.
No more questions? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody? None? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Any more discussion up here? All right. With none, I think we're finished.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Donahue. Perfect as usual. All right, that brings us to, is this item 13? Approval of the 2026 Taco Fest parking rates.
I'll do it.
Mr. Grochowski is going to handle it? Okay.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Commission. This item is a request to establish temporary flat rate parking fees for the taco events from July 2nd. Taco Fest event from July 2nd to July 5th. The flat rates are intended to facilitate efficient parking during this event operations and provide smooth ingress egress at the city's parking facilities near and during the event.
Okay. This is just for the flat rates. Okay. Questions? Discussion? Commissioner Colo?
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Grochowski. There is mention in here of parking spaces also beyond the flat rates, Is that an action item that's on the agenda tonight?
So there's been a request by the Taco Fest vendor to have the commission consider waiving the reimbursement that's contained within the already approved and signed special event permit regarding the reimbursement for the spaces consumed by the event, if that's what you're referring to, Commissioner Cole?
Yep, I just want to make sure that was the discussion.
Yeah, I
that
mean,
the
there is
staff
a
was looking for
request.
tonight.
Sure, there's a request from the event organizer, subject to your discussion and deliberation.
Okay.
Commissioner Colo.
Thank you. So I guess I will start with a question for staff. We look at these numbers, maybe Ms. Barkman might know. Do we know about how many cars parked during Taco Fest last year?
According to the information police department provided, it was a little over 8,000 at 8,163 between the 11-mile structure, the farmer's market parking lot, the Center Street structure, which I believe includes both portions of, and then our prepaid at the 11-mile structure as well.
Okay. So when you give me those numbers, I did the math. That's about 61,000. I don't know if you have that math in front of you, but that was about how much money. Does that sound about right? I see that
Without having done the math,
Yeah.
we'll go with it.
Okay. That sounds about right. That sounds right. Okay, so we brought in 61,000 in parking revenue during Taco Fest last year. So I definitely appreciate staff's position on this, and we just went through the budget also, and we always look at ways to make sure that our funds are whole and sustainable. And a healthy parking fund as well allows us to do stuff like 2 hours free parking in all the garages around town. Allows our rates to be extremely reasonable throughout the entire year. I mean, we have some of the best rates in Metro Detroit. I've been telling this story a lot. I went to a 2-hour meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning in Detroit recently and paid $30 to park for those 2 hours. There is a lot of expensive parking around. But not in Royal Oak. We have easy and convenient parking at all times. So I definitely appreciate staff's attempt, looking at ways to shore up the parking fund in any way possible. That being said, Taco Fest, if it's bringing in $60,000 over a weekend, that might have thousands of dollars, if we're lucky, of parking. If Taco Fest weren't here, I think there's other ways we can go about that cost recovery. Having been here a little while now, I was here prior to MPS coming in. And the MPS contract that I voted against had a provision in it which events would have free parking, because those are the events that existed at the time that the MPS contract came into existence. And all those events would not be charged for parking, because that was our practice at the time. We weren't charging for the parking during these events. And it wasn't until after MPS came in that events would have to come in and pay $25 per spot per day directly to the MPS vendor. The city saw no money out of that. The auto fund saw no money out of that. So I think now we're at a point where we have gotten rid of that terrible contract, and we brought in Park Mobile, and I know that commissioners, the Paradox down there, Cheesin and Mayor Pro Tem have worked on the parking committee to work on this new parking system and make sure we got it right. And it's much better now than it's been in the past. So I'm excited for that. And I think we're at a point now where we need to kind of take a beat and figure out how we go about charging for these meters in the future. I think we need a policy. I think we need to set this up. Do we want to waive it if it brings in over $10,000? Do we want to be sponsors? What do we want to do to encourage these vibrant activities that help people enjoy Royal Oak? Royal Oak and Bloom uses parking lots. Royal Oak Pride's coming up. Family Pride is at the farmers market this week. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that happen in Royal Oak that uses our parking spots that we are, quite frankly, okay with people using them. So I think we take a beat here, come up with a policy, and implement that in the future. And that includes not charging people. I'm not only looking at this event, I'm looking at events across the board. Until we have a policy, I don't think we should be charging for this. So I would also look at staff. I appreciate them looking to make sure that our auto fund is healthy, it continues to be healthy. So I look at the rates and I think that increasing each rate, because it's been stagnant for, I think, 4 years now, and increasing the rates by $5 each is an appropriate inflationary increase that we've seen. You know, we pay more to park rate to manage this than we did when we started those rates 4 years ago. They have not changed. So I would make a motion to take staff's the rates and increase by 5 each and move that forward tonight.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
To increase rates by $5 each. Can you clarify?
Yep, I look at, so parking at 11 Mile Garage and P10 would be 15. Those are the two directly adjacent to the event. And then parking at the Center Street Garage would be 10, which is a short walk from the event. That leaves our other 3 parking structures at their typical rates of 2 hours free, and then the surface lots across town at the same rates.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gantina. Okay, discussion. I have a question for Commissioner Colo, maybe staff. There's 2 elements I see in the agenda item. One is the proposed rate for the parking garages, which one was presented, and now this motion on the table is to increase it by 5. But there's also a request for a waiver.
Oh, I'm sorry. My motion includes waiving the fees for this and future events until we have a policy, if that's how Commissioner Gantina understood it.
Well, that is
So waiving the fees for this event and events until we have a policy in place.
We can do 2 motions if it's easier. Why don't we vote on this one? I see them kind of tied a little bit because it's all dealing with a pot of revenue. I'll give you my thoughts on it. So this is one of the unusual circumstances where talk to staff, read their letter, see their position, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, all makes sense. Also, the petitioner, I think, has a very valid request here too, with some logic behind it, which makes sense as well. So are these things in conflict? Is there a way to figure it out? I don't know. I think that maybe after this, we can hear a little bit from the petitioner if he wishes to speak about his request for a waiver. But you know, what I see here is I do tend to agree with Commissioner Colo that it's been a long time since we've looked at these rates, 4 years. You know, you look at inflation over 4 years, you look at the cost of labor, park right to administration. It's gotten a little, you know, technically we might be a little, you know, in a worse position than we were 4 years ago. So I think opening up the books and seeing that we need to raise the rates makes sense. I think $5 on this is very reasonable, considering, you know, we want to encourage people to carpool. We want to, it's a dead weekend, and when we bring in 20, 30, 40,000 people into town, you know, you want to make sure people are smart about how they get here, and certainly help manage the cost of our parking facility with all this influx of people that are coming to town. So I think, you know, that makes sense. And the question related to the waiver, I think we can get to that next, but it's not unreasonable, I think, to ask about a waiver for the fact that that $25 that was a hard cost for us with MPS is not a hard cost anymore right now. So I think it's a legitimate point to discuss in the next discussion item if that's appropriate to do so. So we have a motion on the table, raise rates, $5. Questions, discussion? Commissioner Teasum?
So I can be in support of the increase in rates because I think that these are very modest rates, and we're, you know, providing a parking service to people coming downtown to participate in a very exciting event. I'm just going to comment on the other piece because I have a feeling our motion is going to quickly follow this, and I just want to say I would prefer that the wording of a subsequent motion to waive the fee would not be tied to this event, but would just be in general. And so that would be that would be a hard line for me. That it should be generally and not tied to one particular event until we can get a clear policy put in place. I just want to put that out there. So
I 100% agree with you, by the way. Okay. Any more discussions on this motion, which is just related to the fee? Commissioner Gontina.
So yeah, I just want to speak to my second a little bit. So I agree with Commissioner Colo in the sense that I'm not necessarily comfortable with our current state of affairs in terms of the policy that we do have and how we actually charge for these parking spaces. I think it is something that needs to be looked at. The $25 fee that we're currently charging is one of those points that I think I certainly would like a little bit more information on how we arrived at that fee, or if the fee should be different, what is the basis that goes into that. But the reality is we have to deal with what exists today. We're talking about things that we want to be looked at and a policy that we would like to implement in the future. But that's not a discussion for tonight. We're not going to solve those problems tonight. I think the economics of what we're talking about, the increase to the parking rates makes sense to me. I think, to Commissioner Cheesman's point, those are very modest increases. These are decoupled issues to me in terms of the parking rates and the waiver request. So maybe would you like me to withhold my comments on the waiver request or just talk about it now?
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Anybody else? Commissioner Hunt?
I just had a clarifying question for Commissioner Colo with regards to his motion, and agree with what everyone said up here, so ditto. But can you tell me or restate the garages and the amounts that I just didn't write them down in time fast enough?
Yes, of course. It's the 11-mile parking deck would be $15, along with the P10 lot, which I believe is the farmer's service lot behind us.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay. Yep.
And then Center Street parking deck would be $10.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote on this motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now this, in our document here, it asks for us to look at a request by the petitioner, the organizer of Taco Fest, who has made a request to look at waiving the parking fee that he is being charged for occupying parking spots in our community to put on the event. And so, typically I would say, this is interesting, but a few things have changed. And, even though we have a parking committee, we're thinking about things that are way, maybe we're thinking about things, a little bit more in front of us than this. And so often we're not thinking about parking policy like these sort of things on a everyday basis, right? It usually takes somebody in the community, a business, a vendor, somebody say, hey, I think differently, what do you think? And so I appreciate the event organizer saying, hey, I think that there's an issue here. You're charging $25 and, you're not paying $25 anymore. Maybe there's some relief that can come with the parking, especially since if the event is generating additional revenue for the city's parking fund. So it's not a crazy request on the surface. So I think we'll take a little time to explore that here just a little bit and see what the commission thinks. But it's one of those situations where I think staff is right, and I think the petitioner is right to ask for, given the changes that have happened since January, to ask for a waiver. Whether we grant it or not, we'll see. But I think it's a fair request. So maybe before we start, if the petitioner, you don't have to come up here. If you want to come up here and explain the request for relief, you're welcome to do so. If not, totally understand. You're not obligated to do it. Okay, come on up.
I want to thank the commission for entertaining this and the thoughtful comments on this subject. I think in addition to the information that was submitted to staff, I just want to add that not only now the city will be raising rates by 50% and 33%, our rates are staying flat, and we're actually lowering them for families. So, I think the city is just the way things lay out, the city is in a position to actually do, better than the event itself, and the event has a $750,000 risk associated with it. I think people that have attended have known the level of security, cleanliness, programming, and it's a major event, the level of publicity generated, the fact that all this happens incident-free, I think, allows it to separate itself, and especially the point that people made on the dais here, that it has generated significant revenue. Our prices for children who were 3 and under free have now gone to 5 and under free, which lowers the price by $12 for kids 4 and 5, and for kids that are 6 to 10, we're lowering the price by $7, more than 50% to 5. So while the city, and I appreciate and support all the efforts to gain revenue, including the increases that you're suggesting, I think they are reasonable. I think knowing that amount of money is being raised, I think the ask that we have is extremely reasonable, especially since we will be lowering our rates for families and keeping them flat for adults. So I think those are the couple of things that I wanted to mention. I think what separates us is mentioned in the note to staff, and I think some of the other reasons, so I don't want to be redundant and restate them, but I would like to be available for questions in the discussion or the chance to respond to anything. So I appreciate the chance to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Discussion. Commissioner Colo. You raised your hand, so I thought you might want to speak.
I'll make a motion. Mr. Mayor, having heard my fellow commissioners speak and talking with the state attorney, I'd like to motion that we waive parking fees associated with special events that occupy paid city parking spots as part of a special event permit until such time that a new policy is in place.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Cole. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hunt. Discussion. I'll just add, I think I'm going to vote yes on this for 2 reasons. One, my understanding is that it's temporary until we come up with a more sophisticated policy that staff can use versus trying to figure out things out of thin air. They do an incredible job trying to balance a lot of different things, and we need to give some guidance. So as long as this is temporary, and number 2, as long as this applies to every event permit requester in our downtown. So, which I think is fair. I personally have a hard time telling any event organizer that you have to pay $25 for a spot when we're not paying $25 for a spot. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but I don't think that's an oversight. That's what it is right now. That's what the policy is right now. So we got to give staff guidance to say, we know it's not 25. And then if, some of these events, I think what we have to challenge ourselves to look at, and this would be maybe some help from the DDA. Not all events are in the downtown. The ones that require parking waived and all that are, but I think we really need to get some smart minds together to say, intuitively, we know why we do these events. We know that we bring a lot of people to our community. We know that the people within our community love to have a place to go, a place to meet their friends and neighbors. It's really important for the quality of life to have these different types of events in our city, from Royal Oak and Bloom to Family Pride to Taco Fest, Arts, Beats and Eats, the art festivals we have, you name it. It really certainly adds to our economic engine and adds to our quality of life. But I think we need to be a little bit more refined on our, definitions of, for every event, what we're hoping to get out of it as a city, as a DDA, and help inform our decision criteria. I think the other part of that moving forward is get some parking data. I know our staff is not armed with great parking data right now, which makes their job incredibly hard. So we need to know, what does a parking spot really cost? And what does it cost in different parts of the city? I think back in the day, before we had MPS, it was like, maybe it's $100 for 30 days. Don't know where it came from, don't know if it's right. But I know back then we didn't have any way to capture the data or anything like that. So I think we have to make sure that we're setting the right policy, giving clarity to our city manager, city attorney, and deputy city manager, and all the people that deal with permits and everything like that, so we, don't have these periods of uncertainty. And I think that we have to look at things in terms of, and again, this is, I talked earlier about, different experiences on the board. I have a fixed mindset a little bit when it comes to finance, and I'm always seeing like, oh, well, for the fact that if we are waiving parking, we are earning more parking because of it. To me, they're kind of like tied together. I think Commissioner Gantina made that point. I see it the same way. And so now that we've, the last motion, we charged an extra $5, this actually should not be this should be a budget improvement. It won't hurt the budget negatively unless it rains for 4 days and then everybody loses. But, so I just, again, want to reiterate, this is until further notice, until we can get our stuff together. And number two, this isn't approving the request for the petitioner. It's actually changing the policy for everyone moving forward temporarily. That's my thoughts.
Set off my AI thing.
I am a robot. I am an android.
Providing feedback.
Did it say, tell that guy to be quiet? The Charlie Brown came up? All right, Commissioner Gantina.
So just real quickly, I just want to, thank Commissioner Cheatham, because my concern all along has been having something that applies to all events fairly and equally. Understand that this is temporary. I actually wasn't contemplating relief for all events, but I think bringing up that point actually does help alleviate some of my concern, again, even though it's temporary, that we're applying this fairly across the board to all events. So I'll definitely be in support of the motion.
Anybody else? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, that brings us to item 14, I think, which was just a quick informational discussion on Vincetta Bridges. Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to all the commission for allowing me to add this item. The Vincetta Bridges were designated as an historic district by the City Commission in February 2024, so I appreciate all of those that were here and made that. As such, they are city property and infrastructure. The bridges are in various stages of disrepair, especially the bridge at Mayfield. The residents of the area have expressed some concerns about structural integrity. These bridges were built in 1916, that's 110 years ago. They were built considering Model Ts being the primary vehicle that would travel over them. Those were under 1,000 pounds. Obviously, vehicles are much larger now. Neighborhood adjacent to the bridges have expressed obviously concerns, but have also supported the idea of their rehabilitation and their restoration. The Vincetta Bridges Task Force independently reached out to SME to get a proposal for what a full assessment and protocol on the rehabilitation of the bridges would cost. SME, for reference, were also part of the Brownfield plan at 505 South Lafayette. They came up with a proposal for a full assessment, which would include ground penetrating radar to assess, obviously, underground, which amounted to less than $30,000. The underground structure is of concern because when the bridges were backfilled, they were not completely backfilled underneath the bridge, and we don't know what the structure underneath is, and we don't know about the structural integrity of the bridges, so that does pose something of a public safety concern. I don't want to be an alarmist, but we don't know what we don't know, and we would like to know what the situation is. I hate to think about, we're building the 5th Street Plaza right now. I would hate to think in 110 years, in 2036, if that were to fall into disrepair, what would the precedent that we set now be for a future commission? So ultimately, what I'd like to propose is that we request city staff to bring information and a recommendation on how the funding for the assessment could be reached pending commission approval.
So that's your request?
That is my request.
Okay. Do you want to put that in a motion, or do you want to hear some discussion first?
I would welcome discussion.
Okay. Discussion. Commissioner Hunt.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing that information and this issue to us. I think I have a few questions. So there was a lot of information that was just given to us. The information that you have in the, the SME proposals and all, was that something that was received as a part of your committee, as a part of your group? Is that, how was this information gathered?
The Vincetta Bridges Task Force
Yeah.
independently reached out to SME, who
Okay.
for free came out and did an initial assessment and created a proposal for a full assessment.
Okay. I would just say, I think, given that this is probably the first time many of us are hearing about it, I don't know if staff has heard this information yet. For me, I think I would feel more comfortable with having that information given to staff so that there's transparency, so that we can all take a look at it, review it, and then brought back for a discussion and vote.
Commissioner Cole and then Commissioner Herzog.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Bastian. I know this has been a passion of yours, and getting these bridges fixed is important. I think we need to be careful with the words that we use. Neighborhood concern about structural integrity is not the same as our city engineer concerned about structural integrity. In fact, I have full confidence in our DPS and city engineering team that if they were concerned about structural integrity, the bridges would be closed and no one would go over them. So, we are the face of the city. So when we speak, we need to make sure that we're using the words that are appropriate. And I want to make sure that, unless our city engineer is reaching out, that she has concerns about the structural integrity. I don't want to get that into the public lexicon, because it's important to note that we do have staff that have looked at these bridges. And then, I would just say to the city manager, I'm actually a little concerned that a board and committee has reached out independently outside of our accepted routes to seek out an assessment, even if it was for free, but we have procedures to go through. We have a bidding process, and we have an engineering department who's responsible for the care and maintenance of these bridges. So I'm concerned if a board is going out and seeking these bids, that is not the way that we're a $250 million municipality. We're not doing this, on the back of paper napkins. So I'm a little concerned that this board might need some more oversight.
Commissioner Herzog?
I got the neck cough too.
No question.
And so my question was kind of along the same lines. Was this report given to the city manager and to staff to review before this request of us?
Yes, staff was given the SME report some time ago.
Okay, and so, so how was the task force developed? It's housed in a board already formed, and then there's this task force?
So the Historic District Commission and the Historic District Study Committee, 3 members each of those committees formed the Vincetta Bridges Task Force specifically to avoid quorum.
So the idea there, I think, is the task force should be informing the board, and then that board advises the commission and works through the city. Then we as a body make a decision on how to move forward. I believe that's how we operate on the EAB. That's how we got the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan that I like to mention all the time, is that we had task force, we had committees that worked, but then they informed the board, and then the board came to the commission. So I guess we'll have to wait for it to go. For me, I think it needs to go through the process before it comes here for more discussion.
I'll just say, I also met with members of the task force. They had asked to meet with me, and so I had a discussion with them over coffee to understand the work that they had been doing. There's been a lot of discussion from the historical society or historical commissions and the neighbors in Vincetta about the condition. One of the bridges has been recently hit by a landscaping trailer, things of that nature. It is a fair question. I mean, the roads are working now, but the question is do bridges built in the 1920s last forever? Maybe. Quality was good back then. Maybe not. So I think what I think Commissioner Bastian makes I think a fair request on the surface, which is, hey, two committees put together a task force to really just literally dig around the bridges, understand what's going on with them, do some homework and some research, some historical analysis, everything that they could. Informally, as an informal task force, they went out and got, somebody that they knew. One of them, I think one of the members is an architect or something like that, and just said, hey, we're thinking about this, which I think is okay. I mean, they're trying to understand how to look at this process. I mean, the task force were formed at these committees. I think, and I do agree with Commissioner Herzog, maybe it's best that it comes through those committees to us, but I don't think that is, I think that's part of the question that Commissioner Bastian is asking. Like, hey, we did this thing. I'm not sure if there's going to be any traction with it. We're getting ahead of budget season. Are we budgeting for it? Are we not? There's people in the neighborhood, there's people on these committees that kind of want to know what the potential next steps are. And I think it's a fair question to ask. And so I think if we have feedback from staff, if we have feedback from, folks up here about what those next steps should be to kill it, move it, budget for it, something like that, I think it's a fair question. We'll go with Commissioner Gantina and then Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to point out the process that Mayor Pro Tem Herzog laid out. I think is very important in the sense that all these boards and commissions that we have a lot of expertise on them. And when topics like this go through that process and the proper protocols, the topic that's being discussed comes out the other end much better because it's challenged by the experts, the questions are asked, the detail is formed, the topic is molded to the point by the time that it gets to staff. The clarity is there to help staff be very efficient with what the request is. So I certainly appreciate all the information you presented, and I think it's a relevant topic for us to discuss. But I think it's important to go through the process that's been laid out because by the time it does get to a point of decision, it's been well vetted by that point by all the experts on the boards as well as staff. So that would be my feedback, is to make sure, like, it's sort of been stated already, but my preference would be that it sort of follows the traditional path that other items like this have followed.
I think that's a feedback Commissioner Bastian's looking for. Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Bastian said that this was formed to avoid a quorum, and it got me thinking about our rules of procedure. We actually don't allow that. So every board and committee needs to follow the city commission rules and procedures also that is laid out at our rules every year, which includes posting minutes, taking notes, and posting agendas. I've not been able to find any of this task force's agendas online. And likewise, looking back through it, the city commission never appointed anyone to a task force. It seems like two committees set up a new committee on their own, which is once again outside the bounds of their authority. So I'd ask Mr. Marcus to look at that and figure out if we need to, the next time the appointments committee meet, formalize them, and or if the city commission needs to formalize this as a task force. But they are doing good work, and let's keep that work going forward. But let's make sure that it's appropriately staffed in the city manager's office, so that this is coming. All these things that they're trying to do are going to the right departments.
Your city manager wants to weigh in.
I feel like I have to come to Mr. Bastian's rescue, because part of what he's doing is based on my advice. He contacted me, and through our one-on-one, I'm doing one-on-ones with all of the city commissioners. And he raised the issue about how to proceed. Talked to Kevin Yee, and Kevin gave me two quotes, SME, I think, and WROK. And I suggested that he call the mayor. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him. Yeah. And to consider whatever process we usually do to bring something like this up. He pointed out that he didn't think he could get 3 votes before the commission, and I advised him, you shouldn't do that anyway, and because of OMA. I think, from my limited exposure to this issue, after our discussion, I went out and actually looked at the bridges. And the bridges are in really rough shape. Even to try and create some maintenance for them, I think would be a challenge without expert advice. So my thought was that he come to the commission, have this discussion, ask the staff to return with a report at the next meeting, which is at what time the budget will be considered. And if in the mind of the commission, this information is necessary over the course of next year, they could consider adding it. I'm listening to the discussion about appropriate protocols from boards and committees and task force and all of that. And I guess from my perspective, I wasn't completely aware of that concern in this particular issue. My concern was more about getting these bridges looked at so we could determine, what a proper course of action might be. Having heard all this and listened to the conversation, you can always amend the budget. You can come back, provided the funds are available. So if the direction is the protocol that you're used to, I think you could probably end this conversation tonight with the idea that we bring it back through the protocol procedure, and if there's an opportunity to secure the funds from any number of sources, I suppose, we come back with a proposed budget amendment to deal with it. So.
Okay. So what I hear is, yeah, what I hear is like, if we want, we have a couple different options. One, we can try to put a placeholder in the budget, which was the inertia of the request, to say, okay, hey, the next meeting is really the formality of the budget. But there are also many things that we do, as amendments when we come up with new information and whatnot. And so the feedback I heard from some of the commissioners tonight, and I'm interested in what Commissioner Bastian thinks because he's closest to it. Does it make sense for you if, staff comes back with something in a reasonable time period that kind of puts a plan together that says, hey, this is what we probably need to do. We should have the historical committees look at it, have them formalize it in their meeting minutes, bring it to this commission with maybe the support of staff based on their recommendations and findings, if there's any financial considerations, and then we discuss it here. And if we move forward and there's a cost to do a study or whatever it may be, then we decide at that time, okay, yep, we're gonna free up $5,000, $8,000, 10, 20, whatever it is, to 50,000 to do the study. But is that process, kind of, you're closest to the committee. Does that seem to be, do you have any other input on that or any counter thoughts?
I think that, speaking for myself, I would be absolutely appreciative of that, and I believe that the historic boards would be appreciative of it, and I believe that, in defense of the boards, I don't believe for a moment that anybody would intentionally make any efforts to circumvent the correct process. I think that this might illustrate a learning opportunity, and I believe that as I am happy to take on new learning opportunities, I feel the boards would as well. And yes, I absolutely agree that that would be a perfectly fine solution.
Great.
Just one other thought. I think that the question was posed, was this placed in the capital improvements program? So that was kind of the initiation for me to go back in and look at whether that was the case or not. And in reporting back to Paul that had not been placed in the capital improvements program, the thought was, well, how can you get it approved? So that's why this conversation came up. So.
Yep. It makes sense from all angles. Just got to get aligned. Commissioner Herzog?
Thank you. So I think that what is different about our commission versus other communities, and we know this from going to all these MML and SEMCOG, is that we're very collegial. Like, we're colleagues, and we have open phones that you can call and talk and share ideas, where that doesn't happen in a lot of communities. We know this from just being really active in Michigan. So I would suggest that when we have things that we want to bring, and that we do actually talk to each other, so that no one's blindsided about what we have to make decisions on. I think that's really important. I also never, and I've said this to like developers and other things that have come here, never want to make one vote without reading something and really fully understanding, doing my due diligence. That's what people have voted for me. This is my responsibility. So I don't want to even have any suggestion without having had read something. And I also want, while we are all colleagues, I also want the relationship with staff to be really great, because to move anything forward and to do anything really well, we all have to work together. And so when we cut certain groups out and we don't do the process, then I feel like we're not being respectful of all the parties that need to come to the table.
And in Commissioner Bastian's defense, both the city manager and the mayor, I think he was asking a question that was timely, like, hey, we're going to approve this budget. Is it in there or not? And he did speak with me, he did speak with the city manager, and you're absolutely correct. And Commissioner Coley, you're absolutely correct. But I think the nature of the question is, hey, what's the next step on these bridges? Do we need to do something for the budget? You know, is there something we need to have staff bring back a week from now? Or is there a different way to go about it, just to make sure that, you know, it's not losing any momentum or steam from Commissioner Bastian's point of view? So there's a little bit of, I won't say fault, but I think it was good that there's a question. I don't know if there's time to call everybody and talk to everybody. So I know
well, and
you
this
have to
isn't-
blame me for the advice.
This isn't to pile on to anyone. I think that's just why we work so well together, is because we communicate so well. So with the SCAP, that's what we did. With parental leave, that's what we did. With things that come up before us, we do that a lot. And so I would like to keep that type of process in place for all of us. That's not just for this particular item, but just for things moving forward.
And Commissioner Herzog, for the folks out there, is saying we do it with all in the context of the OMA.
Of
So,
course,
yeah.
of course.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Colo?
no points.
I just want to say, you know, as someone, I feel like we're closing out this conversation, but as someone who was here and voted to make the Bezetta Bridge historic, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, one of the impetus of doing it was also seeking out grant funding for this. And that was why we did it, because the city resources, you know, Ms. Donahue's done a really good job planning out our millage funding, and supplementing that with grant funding for these bridges was one of the exact reasons why they are historic. And there was a push to make them historic back in the early 90s, the late 90s, the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, that all failed. But, you know, this commission finally did make them historic, so grant funding could be sought out. So I thought that at the time that the historic committees were going to pursue with our grant manager finding grants to do that work. And that is where the funding for the work, as someone who voted for it, that was the intention of the vote. So hopefully the manager's office hears that, you know, Mr. Bastian, I'm sure, you know that. So moving forward, I hope that there are grant opportunities that come forward that can help us complete this work and complete it in the right way.
Good point. We should always be seeking grants. Commissioner Teasum?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Colo. I was going to say something similar. I've been working with Jill Martin, our grants person, in relation to the Safe Routes to School initiative, and so she has lots of great ideas, and so I don't know if you've sat down already with her, but that might be a great move. I think the other thing that's kind of in my mind is just the whole budget process starts so many months before, you know, next week next meeting we're scheduled to approve the budget, but it starts months and months and months before that, with staff bringing CIP, capital improvement projects, for discussion and deliberation. And so I think you all know, like, fairness is a really important value to me. So I know that, we all have projects that we're really interested in, we want to see advance, but I want to make sure that we do that in a way that's fair, respectful of staff and the priorities that they've also identified. So I think, I feel like there's another point, but it's after 9, which is my bedtime, so I'm having a little trouble with that last point. So I'll just end there. But I just think that just that fairness, and I was just gonna be this. Obviously, if there is an emergent issue that becomes apparent to us that is really critical for the health and safety and well-being of our residents, we would always make adjustments to respond to that. But this has been an issue that has been around for a while because we did approve the. I thought I was on it, but maybe I wasn't. I'm just watching it. But okay, that's all. You said 3 or 4 years ago, and so I was like confused.
It all blends together.
Yeah. Almost, yeah. So I think that this is not something that's come out of nowhere. Like, we have known that it is an issue, a concern, and staff have also known that. So I just feel like if there was something really critical and urgent, it would be there on the radar. But I do appreciate your commitment to making sure it is being considered. So I just want to do that in a way that's fair to other potential projects in the city.
I just think one point on that, actually, you brought up a really good point, Commissioner Cheatham. I think some of this might have been handled by the former city manager, and I think there was a gap a little bit in records and communication a little bit, and I think that was some of the feedback I got as well, is that, points all valid, but I think maybe also too, there's a little variable here that put a little weight on the short notice, but you're right.
Just one more comment. I heard about this Friday evening and checked, and the question was, is it in the capital improvements program? Found out this morning it's not in the capital improvements program after visiting the site and thinking it does need to be looked at. It's here at my recommendation to Paul and how to handle it. And the request is that it be discussed at the next meeting, whether you'd consider that. You'd have all the information at that point. That's what was recommended.
The next meeting from tonight.
The next meeting, the next city commission meeting. That's when we would come back with a recommendation, with information.
But I think that now that in light of further information and actually an additional recommendation from you, Mr. Marcus, is that we can get this through the committees and get that same recommendation once it goes through the committees in parallel or in conjunction with. And I think that sounds fair. So it's the same thing, but with one little layer that was recommended here that I think is right, is just to go through, which I think you ultimately recommended too tonight.
I did.
But yeah, point the finger at me. I also gave a recommendation when I talked to Commissioner Bastion. But Commissioner Bastion is like, we're all learning. I appreciate you saying that. I'm learning too. I don't know what the right process is for this either, so I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you guys had input, because now I think we understand what it should be. Okay, so I don't think we have much to go on this one, right? There's no action. I think the answer is our city staff will figure it out with the feedback we gave tonight, and when appropriate, it will come back to us with all the information and data and all that stuff that we can decide what to do.
Through committee recommendations.
Through committee recommendations. Does everyone sound cool with that? Commissioner Herzog? Are you just waiting for the next topic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So that one's closed up for now and no action necessary, which brings us to the last part of our agenda, which is the important motion that can be made related to adjournment. Commissioner Herzog.
I would like a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Bastion. Is there discussion on this motion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. We're adjourned.
We did it.